Hello, everyone, and it's a happy Saturday, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so we are just 9 days away from releasing this code open source. That does not mean it's not a beta product. It is still going to be a beta product, and we're going to be working on perfecting it for everyone's use. But I'm going to open it up so developers can jump in, take a look, see what I've done. We can start testing it. We can start trying it. We can, everybody can get their hands in the code and start making suggestions. But basically, it is going to be a working product when I release it for some extent. I've been using it myself and playing around with it, and of course it's time to get it out to the world and see what we can't do with it. So it'll always be a work in progress, probably my whole lifetime, but hey, that's software. So okay, without anything else to jabber about before I get started, let's jump right into the code page. And here we go, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what I'm working on today is basically in order to create different plugins, we need a way that it's very easy for others to add things to the admin menu. And before, what I had done is I had hard-coded the admin menu, which of course has all this crap in here and different things. So what I need to do is basically I need to design it in a way that we can basically add things to the menu and have it call it up and make it work. So to do that, the first thing I'm doing is I'm writing a couple processes, created a class called WTW admin menu, and basically creating some items such as add menu item. We're going to build an array of items, and then when we call to get the admin menu, we're going to be able to, based on that array, we're going to build the menu dynamically. That way, from our plugins, we can add menu item, click, 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 and it'll be taken in account before it actually gets the admin menu and puts it on the page. So that's the process. That's what I'm working on. Haven't played too much around with this yet because just getting started. So yeah, so basically getting this stuff all going. Just looking at what I actually have in here and what I want the menu items to actually do. Deciding what fields to pass. For example, we have the name, which would actually be the ID of the field. So if there's some specific ID that you may need to call in your code or check or do whatever, we can have an ID field. Oops, going the wrong way there. Then we have the title, which is the actual display name. We have the level, if it's going to be a main menu item or a sub menu item. And I could just put, instead of level 1, sub menu or menu or sub menu is all I have to put. I really don't have to put level because I'm only going to do 1 and 2 levels at this time. May enhance that later on. I don't know at this point. So far, all I want to do is a main and a second level. Keep it very simple. So let's put main. Let's just do this really, really easy. Or sub menu. So we'll call it menu or sub menu. It's either a menu item or a sub menu item. The only applies to okay, so basically, if it's the menu level, then it can have a menu icon, and you can put the URL into that icon. Otherwise, sub-menu items do not have icons. That's just the pattern I've gone with. Access will be an array of values, and that's a PHP array. And it'll be the roles that are granted access. We'll do some things in there to check the access and make sure it's working. Then we can have it do a JavaScript function. I'm going to also put Z page that it would open. Well, yeah, we can do some things with that. We'll play around with that because menu items are not doing postbacks. So basically, I'm not going to have it where you click the button and then it automatically refreshes the whole page. It needs to be doing things through through JavaScript. So we're going to leave that way right now until we decide something different. The JavaScript itself can do all kinds of crazy stuff, so we're not limiting what it does. We're just trying to teach you how to use it in a way that doesn't interfere with the always-on animation concept. After we release the open source and start perfecting it, the other thing is I will be throwing out a whole lot more documentation. In the meantime, you can jump on here and you can catch me here and you can actually ask your questions and stuff, and I'll be available. I'll be supportive. I'm going to be perfecting the product and getting everything out there that we can. Okay. So those are the fields that I'm passing in at this time. We're going to give that a shot and see how well it does. The first thing we're going to do is notice, okay, so I'm going to peel off just one layer of the menu here and see if we can't tell it what we need to do. Actually, if it's leveled, you know, we could do that an easier way. We'll say Z menu, and we'll just make it submenu. If I do it this way, then basically if you need a submenu item, it just shows up underneath the menu item, and we can do something with that pretty easily. Okay, so instead of level, let's do, what do I just call it? Menu and submenu. Okay, then we'll just call this right here menu top menu level item and submenu, and second level menu item, or null, or blank. Actually, if you pass in blank or blank, that works. Okay, so that'll basically take care of if we're not passing in a value for the second level. If you leave it blank, then basically then it is a top level item. You can also put the same item there so that you get top level item and the first menu item underneath it is giving you that one. That's something that some people like to do. So if they click the first one and open up the menu, it tells it what page to actually open when you do that particular thing. But since we're saying the JavaScript on each line that we create, then basically that, we should have some type of sort order on the top and sub sort orders. Top menu item, okay, let's do some. Let's put it before we say what menu it is. So, well, oh, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we'll put it here just so we can do it. Z menu sort. Then we put the menu item. Then we put Z sub sort. Okay, so what those are is that allows us to add a, let's see, so we have menu sort right here. Menu sort equals integer for sort order of menu level 1. And then we're going to put that sub menu sort, and that'll be integer sort order for sub, which is menu level 2. Okay, so that gives us a little bit of an idea. Now we can tell it which way we want these to actually sort. If you leave those blank, we can always sort by, the title in that area, but that allows us some control. And so now knowing all of this, I think we're closer to what I have in the structure. There's one more piece that I've been kind of not working with just yet, and that was I played around with being able to tell it different control characters that move menu items. I'm going to withdraw that right now because we're going to play around a lot more with that before we make a choice of how that works from the menu items. So especially because the more menu items we add, the more likely conflict and different things. I'll leave it in the functionality of the program, but not necessarily the menu items that you add. So we'll play around with that. You can always assign things on your own too. So we'll get to that part later. But right now, the important part for me is to get it to actually create the menu and have some type of functionality so we can do the different things. Okay, so first one is notice we have the name of the item. We can call it anything we want. This particular item is the dashboard, so we're going to call this a top menu item. We'll name that. I'm going to come in here with, okay, so WTW underscore admin menu dashboard. That will be this top item. Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, oh, see, I put this under here. Okay, I will look at that where I put that code in, and I'm going to make that work, but I need to be able to add that dynamically instead of with the actual class around it, instead of actually the way I did, which is fine. It's actually easier now than what I was doing. Oh, I have a dashboard light item there. So admin menu main dashboard is the main menu item page. Okay, because we already had a menu item dashboard page, which is right here. This particular one, we don't have any special thing going on with it. You know, let's find out if it's even connected to anything. And yes, I have it right there. Oh, that is that one. Okay, it doesn't actually have any connection to anything, so I'm going to clean these up as I go. You know what? I'm going to see if I can shorten some of these names as we go. Let's call this admin dashboard, see if that is used in code or not. No, it isn't. Okay, so I'm going with that. So admin dashboard. And the first thing we're going to do is call it dashboard for title. Dashboard. And we're going to menu sort. We want this one to be basically first. In fact, I'm going to make that a negative. I'm going to have some that are going to be above. Well, okay. I'm going to make some that aren't in the area that get sorted into everybody else's. And so when you add them, it's going to automatically make sure that you're not adding them before the ones you're supposed to. So let's see. I'll play around with that kind of stuff later on. But for now, I'm just going to say negative 100. And this menu item is going to be dashboard. And oops, actually let me call it WTW underscore dashboard just so we get some type of regular stuff there going. And this is going to be my first item underneath that. We'll go 0. And actually it's not going to have a submenu item because this is not the submenu. Okay, icon URL. We're going to take that right there and put it here. Oops. Put it here. Hope so I get it to the right place. Okay, and let's see, access array. I'm going to leave it blank right now. That's going to let everybody get access to it. I'm not going to do the permissions just yet because I'm going to go through and do all that. So I'm going to pass, actually I'm going to pass null. And for now I'm not going to I'm not going to worry about that just yet. JavaScript function, when it's clicked, I'm going to write the JavaScript function to automatically open the items underneath it and open the page. So right now this one says, actually that is the name of it. We're going to keep it the same. We're going to go with this toggle admin menu dashboard, and we'll put that in place and put it there. And parameters are going to be blank. There are no parameters for that. I could put null. Actually, null or empty, I'm going to be able to check that in the code very easily. Okay, so that's going to be a call for adding a menu item, the main menu item. And let's go ahead and work the code through that just so that we have some type of something we're going to be able to use. Let's say the menu item equals array. Okay. And okay, so now for this array, we're going to want, we'll call that, I know I called it name here. We should just call it ID because that's what it is. Okay, so div ID is what that is. And that one is going to be, ZID. We'll do some checking on this stuff when it comes in. Right now I'm more getting the structure in place. So let's see. Let me get these. Actually, let me just copy them all down here instead of trying to do these one at a time. Okay, if we take that here and just do it like that, I can and just pull these down like this. And now I can build the rest of the array. Like, let's put a space in there. Just because we can't, whoops, not spaces. I want a couple tabs in here to make them all look nice and neat. So we'll align them all and make it look pretty. We can do that, or actually no, we're going to minimize this file at some point or clean up the code, so no reason to have extra blank spaces, huh? I guess that's my fault. Thinking one thing and then doing another. Okay, I'm getting there. Okay, so plugging right along. And let's see. Okay, so we'll copy and paste in these names so that we're building the array with these values in place. For example, JS parameters, copy that. JS function, access, which is going to be the array of access that can see this item. We'll play around with that part last. We'll get the menu item to actually show up on the page first. Then we'll start deciding who gets to see what. Okay, we'll do this. We'll do this. Copy that. Okay, copy that. And copy the title. Now that should give us the items into the array that we want. And next we're going to take the global array, which is this one up here, and basically we'll do this, literally, this admin menu, and we're going to go with count of this admin menu so that we know how many are in here, which is going to be the next record of the array, equals menu item. Okay, and then when we actually tell it to get the admin menu, the first thing we're going to do, we'll do a sort based on that stuff, but the first part I'm going to do before I do that is let's just spill them out on the page. So we'll do for each For each, this menu item is the array we're going to do as menu item. And then here we're going to be building this Z admin menu text, and then it's going to spill out, and back on this page we're telling it to echo that text back onto the page. So the first thing we want to do is we're looking at the actual menu. What we did here, I'm going to take a copy of this first menu item because that's all we're trying to build at this time, and from here to there. And okay, so this particular one, take it to this page, and I'm going to use this as a format. This is what we want to build. And the class also, I'm going to double check the class. I want to make sure that it's a class that's not used anywhere else. So I believe I used this one somewhere else. So I'm going to take a copy of the class and I'm going to make it specifically for this particular one. We're going to, since get menu item, the only way to, well, people can put things directly into this, so what I'm going to need to do is read them out and validate them on this end before they actually show up on the page, because somebody could physically write directly to this menu process. Actually, instead of making it public, if I made it private, it wouldn't be able to. We'll think about that stuff shortly. But for the moment, I'm just going to make it all work. So, down and dirty, menu item, copy this. This equals, we're going to add this to it. Like I said, we're going to clean up some of those pieces there. We'll escape some characters here shortly. And I just want to going to get the framework in place first. So, whoops. Helps if I do them in the right order. And this. Okay, so this one has a badge, which we're not going to handle right now. It also has a class, an alt way of hitting that. Basically, the only thing we have in here is the word dashboard. Okay, that's just the name. I don't need a third line for that. Let's see. So, okay, so the icon only applies to the other part. If it's a submenu item, we do one thing, and if it's a main menu item, we do another. Okay, so let's track this. First thing, let's fix the class. We already know that I have a lot of these being used, so I'm going to create a new class in the admin menu. Here we go. And it's in the core. That's another part here is I put this class in the core, and that's not even where we want it to be because this is an admin menu level type thing. So I'm going to take a copy of that, and that, see, there's this, then there's the hover, then there's a text, then there's a zero part, and then there's a selected. So there's a handful of different things here that aren't exactly, yeah. I think I did some special things, like I may have said, call it selected after it's been clicked on and open the menu, and I think I did some special stuff like that in the code. Let's check. Actually, if we did that, it would be in the JavaScript, which would have to be right here. And no, we did a selected right there. So we did change the class to selected on certain items. That has nothing to do with, that has nothing to do with, that has to do with the point list. That has nothing to do with the piece I'm actually working on. Okay, so we're good on that. Let's get the style only to the admin page. Let's see if there's anything in this called admin menu. No, okay. So we're going to create one. I'm going to go near the top here since it's brand new for us. And we're going to call it, admin menu. It's about as straightforward as we can get. And we haven't used that yet, which is nice. So it'll be admin menu and admin submenu is what I plan to do. That will get us this one. Now over here, put it in code, go single quotes around that one. And next, see, we're going to be reading in some values. We're going to check to see if they exist. If they're not, we're going to check a few things, and we're going to be building up what this particular section here does. This part here, we're basically going to put like exactly as is, and if there's any parameters, they'll go directly into here. So that will be what it is. You know what? When I set that one, since there are no parameters to this one, I think we better use null. If this is null, I'm going to treat that different than if it's empty, because empty still needs to be passed. So we'll see if it's set and then go from there. Okay, so if you want it to pass a null, we'll have to worry about that later. It's not something I'm going to worry about right this moment. Okay, so I'm getting too far ahead of myself. Let's do the basics. Okay, so I know these are the values that I'm passing. So the first thing I want to do is let's read them out, and let's give them local variables here again. Let's just take a copy of this so we get all the values that we're doing. We'll scrub them again on this end just in case somebody intercepted it. Well, yeah. If we check them going in, and if we don't make that public up on top, then we shouldn't have a problem with the values. So we're going to do this equals, and it'll be Z menu item and that. So we'll get these in order this way. I'm just reversing the order of how we do them. So I can copy and paste. We're going to just do this real quick at the ends of each line. Anything to bring in a shortcut to getting stuff on here. Okay, and title, copy that, put it here, copy that, put it here. Just bringing in the class, bringing out the array values. And almost done. Okay, drop these back to here. And then we would have read in the values. Then we're going to do a couple tricks of the trade to make sure, like if they put something in there and it's the first and main menu item, we need to be able to determine between that. So first things first, let's dump this on the page. If ZID is not blank, let's see. If ZID is not empty, well, I could say and is set, then ZID equals blah, 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 blah. We're going to just call it, well, if it's already set, then we're going to let it be what it is. How about if it's empty or not set, then ZID equals WTW DB dot random string And we'll make it, you know what, I just need a short, we'll make it 5 digits. It doesn't have to be very long. Random string 5, 1. That'll give it alphanumeric number randomly, and we'll give it an ID if it doesn't have one. Then everything will have an ID, but they will be dynamically changing if you haven't set one. So don't call your code to it if you haven't, if you didn't actually set one here. But that way we can just do this, which is the best way to do it. Oops. And we're gonna put that ZID here. So that'll be part of the string. Now we have an ID in there. The title is going to be right here. And once again, we're going to double check the title and see if it's empty, because if they tried to throw something in here that has no title, I would rather we give it a title and then them decide, hey, I need a title. So basically the title will be let's just go with menu item. Okay, so if they didn't put a title in, then it automatically gives it menu item, so it has a place in the menu, but it doesn't actually do anything for them. The next one, menu sort, is all about sorting with the array, which we'll do before we get this far. Menu is determining menu title allows you to title it any way you want in the menu, but if, let's say it's your home button, you can call the menu here the actual menu item, whatever you want to call it. So this one is used more about where it sits than to have it be a what am I going to say about where it sits and where it's going to, you know, tuck underneath and stuff. So basically it doesn't actually show that word anywhere on the page. Okay, so the next one is the icon. If I'm expecting an icon, I'm going to give it an icon. So basically we will check to see if they gave us one, and if they didn't, we'll give it a bland icon. You know what, I'm going to do this real quick and drop that in here, and then what I want to do is if or not set, and for this particular one we're putting Z icon here, and then I'll put Z icon URL equals for now I'm going to tuck this in here, but that's not the icon I'm going to use. I just want it to spit something on the page. If it's actually, because I'm setting one, I don't want it to be that. You know what, there's a, let's see, what icons do I have available? Let me just look at icons real quick and see if I can't, this isn't going to give me preview. Let me double check on my other machine here real quick. Just bear with me. I'm just picking an icon. Okay. Content and system images. Nope. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so menu. Let's go with. Are these the 32s or not? No, they're not. Okay, so they're 24 by 24 square, I believe. Yeah, 24 by 24 square for this menu item. Let me pick. I'm trying to find a very generic one, and it doesn't have a particular meaning or anything, so that it doesn't become part of a different, you know, it doesn't imply something else. How about I just go with menu arrow PNG for now? That'll give us something where it puts it in place if the menu item isn't given. Okay, then, so that takes care of that. Alt is going to be the same thing as the title. So we're going to make it say, when you highlight over it, it'll make it say the same thing that you typed in the first place. So, and we'll put that there also. Same thing for title. Some browsers pick up alt tags, some pick up title tags, so I'm just making sure we've covered both bases on that. Also helps with ADA compliance, so people like having something show there. And then finally, there's two other parts here. If basically, if JS function is null, we're not going to give it one. So copy that. Let's see, we're going to check a couple things here. First one is going to be if that, oh, actually, let's reverse the logic on this. If it's not empty and is set, and we're going to be checking for the JavaScript function. Okay, then JavaScript function equal, well, is set. Then JavaScript function equals, oops, that. And we're going to add the forward backwards and a closer onto the end of it so that it just basically pins it in here with, notice that would be up to here is the actual name. Then we're going to be dealing with the parameter on the second part. So we're going to first ask, I'm kind of doing this in two parts here. So else, if those two things are good, if this is set and the parameter has anything set, we'll just say is set on the parameter, because is set could be passing a blank variable. So I just want to see if it's set, and we'll put is parameter there. And then what I'm going to do is on this one, we will insert this. Actually, let's do double quotes. I shouldn't have done single quotes around that at the moment, but that's all fine. We'll do double quotes, and we'll do it this way so that it puts exactly what you put there into here. So it's a mirror image. You just type what you need it to say, and it will slap that into its place. Okay, so then from there, if the JavaScript function, if parameters are blank, then it just passes it without them. So if we put null there, we're not going to pass anything. So that kind of determines between the two. And now this is the JavaScript function, and it automatically has, you know, basically this here. If you were to type, you know, I could do the function and the parameters all in one, because all I'm doing is putting it directly in there. And if you had more than one thing you need to do on the on-click, you could just type it in. So I don't see any reason, per se, to separate these two into parameters. If anybody can think of a reason other than me to do it any other way, okay. If it's not empty and it's set, then JavaScript function, let's just check if it's empty or not set. Not set, then basically Java function equals, we'll make it blank just so that if they pass null, then it automatically gets it this way. That's what I want to do. Okay, so we're going to kill off that parameter. I just don't see a reason to, track that. Since it's going to be a mirror image of what you want to put there, it just makes more sense to put everything all in one place. Show blah blah function name whatever, or blah blah blah. We can do any one of the above, and we should also put this and that there. Okay, so that just gives you an idea. or function name my second function. Okay, so it can be stuff like that. That makes a lot more sense to, instead of piecing it apart and then re-putting it back together, you just tell me what you want it to run and we're going to drop it in the code. That, I know. I may change my mind later on that, only because if people start being malicious and it starts doing something weird, then we may have to scrub it, which means we have to do a lot more with that. For now, we're going to do this. Okay, we're passing that. Okay, so that gives us this value. Now we're taking the value, we're dumping it on the page with all those settings, and now if I view this page, we should be able to get, okay, over here, and nope, something didn't work. What did I miss? Let's see. Oh, that would help. Okay, so basically we got to put in the value for the JavaScript here. That would make a difference. It doesn't like when you leave it that way. JS function. Okay, that should like that a little better. And we still don't have a menu. Let's see, what else did I miss? Menu, and it returns admin menu, and that's what we're bringing in. Okay, I didn't miss any end quotes. We didn't do any of the obvious. Let's go check the log. Let's see, am I using this one? Oops. Okay, yeah, let's see. Call to undefined function random string. Okay, I missed the name of the function. We'll also delete that because I wanted to get a nice clear view of if anything else as we hit errors. Random function, random string. Oh, well, first of all, that's not how you call it. No wonder. And then we'll double check just to make sure I got the name right. Here, database. Random string is right. I know what it looks like. And it is right. There it is. Get random string. That would make a difference. So we'll get random string 5.1. That should be the format that it's looking for. String type being this right here. So that's what it's going to return. Okay, so let's now refresh that page. And we got a menu. And notice, menu item. It didn't read in any of my values. Okay, let's see what's going on there. If everything worked right the first time, then that would be, you know, miracle as it is. It didn't read these items. It doesn't like this notation. Let me test that theory by first changing the title. If we go this notation, which is probably the way I really don't know when to use one and when to use the other. I just know that if it doesn't work, I try the other one and it always works. So if you want to teach me one on that, you can definitely tell me. You can tell me and I'll take it from there. That also explains why the menu item was giving us a value. Okay, so we'll do this same thing on everything here. Oops. Helps if I type the right one, don't hit down shift at the wrong time. And this, fix where that sits. Okay, we're going to do this faster. I can do it faster copying and pasting. Okay, we have that, and this, and copy that here, and here. Okay, let's give that a shot and see if we have our correct menu item up here. Bring that in, and look, we have dashboard, and when I click it, it does the function So the function is in place and the function is working when I click it. So we've dynamically built our first menu item. And, okay. Okay, so now that that one's in place, what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple things. First I'm going to add a second menu item, but I'm going to jump down to the second main menu item to what we're adding because I want to get these two things in place. I want to get the other menu item. All right, let's try 3. And we're going to play around with the sort, and we're going to play around with getting the sub-menu items in place here in just a minute. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple more main menu items, which are going to be, okay, so those are different areas that open based on that one, which we're going to have to, we're going to need to do something with that. I'll think about it. No problem. Oh, actually, no, it's not that hard to think about. I got it. We'll figure that out. Okay, so when it comes down to some of these things that I have down here, there's nested menus and all kinds of pieces. So it's going to get uglier before it gets better, but I'm going to be working with that as I get to it. First thing I want to do is put the core of the stuff in place. Then I may even have it where, hey, things before this number, or this part automatically shows up and then everything else goes afterwards. There's going to be a couple things like that, I know, because of some of the dynamics of the parts that I built. But we'll get it in place. We'll do something here really cool with it and make it run well. So no problem. That's just the plan. Let's see. We have at this top level, the thing is we have a couple different items here. We have the media is the next one. So let's go ahead and here's its name. Okay, so that's its ID. This one is media library. Media library. We're going to call that 99. Actually, I like counting by 5s because I end up needing to put something in between the levels or something, and this would definitely help. So media library, and this is a top level menu item again. And for media library, we have menu media is the icon. Okay. See, they do go faster once we get past the first one. And this one, here's the function that we're doing on that. So let's put that in here. Okay. Next, I'm going to put the next one down is toggle buildings. Okay, so let's see. First of all, toggle buildings. I'm going to put this in here, and actually, I think the name on it is My Buildings. Yep, My 3D Buildings. So My 3D Buildings, and I'm going to put 90 on that one, so we've got a little space between them, and call this My 3D Buildings, just for consistency. When that one gets clicked, this one has, well, there's different things. We'll get to that. Okay, so that's the buildings div. So we have, okay, so My 3D Buildings, this is the function we want to run, and notice that made it a lot easier not to have to pass the parameters separately and parse it out and and figure it out and test it and everything. All we have to do is drop it in here. I can, you know what, let's put double quotes around that and I don't have to worry about the quotes. You can use escape characters obviously for this, but I'm going to put double quotes. You know what, I'll do it on all of them for my example, just some consistency on something. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. We'll use that for now. Okay, because I know I'm going to run into this more often. If I copy and paste one line to get another line, I want to make sure I can do that. Okay, so for buildings, there is a building. Where's the building icon? Let's see, buildings, system menu, buildings. There it is. Copy that. Okay, we have the buildings, and now we have 3 menu items that should show up on the top of our list. Let's see if that worked. And we now have Dashboard, Media Library, which is a working button, which is good, and it toggles. Notice the dashboard should toggle too, because the code hasn't changed what it does. And this one, notice how it opens up this area underneath this. Each one of these, like if I hit dashboard there, if I hit dashboard here, it has this little subsection that it opens up underneath it. So what I need to do is I need to be consistent about how I make it open the section that are the sub sections and stuff. So we're going to do our own naming of the sub levels, and we're going to get these pieces in place. And that will also make it where we can easily hide those items with the submenu items, collapse them after they've been opened. So we'll be able to do some stuff with that. Okay, so let's go here. Okay, so we've got those 3 items. I'm going to do something here. I want to take the menu, the dashboard, put it on top, and I'm purposely putting them out of order because I want to now make sure that I can sort the different items. You know what? Let's add a couple more. I want to make them all out of order, and then I want to be able to I want to make sure that we can, tell it to sort and it automatically puts them in the right order and everything. So well, actually, we'll get to those in just a minute. Let's do the sub items first because I'm going to also sort the sub items with them. So it makes more sense to get them in that order. Okay, so let's see, we have underneath this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a copy of that, and there's 2 menu items underneath it. So let's take 2 copies of it. Okay, so the first thing is, it is going to be under the dashboard menu, so I'm going to leave that there. The other part is each one of these items have their own names. So we're going to use, here's one of them, and here's the other name. These items also do not use or have an icon, so we can leave that null or blank. It won't matter. We're going to ignore it anyway. So once it knows it's a submenu item, it's not going to do anything with that. The names of these items are right here. We have just admin home, which, notice I'm not worried about this other thing that I used to do for the menu items. We're not going to actually put that in place. We're not going to use that functionality anymore. We're going to write specific functions to do each one of these. I could do it still, but that's going to cause some weird stuff in the code. So it's going to treat it. Okay, let's until I change that process that it's using to run them, I need to keep this in the actual name for now. Yeah, just trust me, I'm going to do it this way. We're going to do this in 2 stages. I'm going to do it this way so that we don't have to re-doctor everything at this particular point. This part here can be 0 because it's not actually doing anything. And this part here is the, what do I have? Dashboard's the name. This is the part that it's actually falling under. This part's going to be meaningless because we're not actually sorting by, yeah, actually it should be the same as the one above it. If I do the sort, yeah, I need to do, we're going to need to inherit whatever that number is, which means that this right here becomes almost worthless. It keeps them together, but if there's two things with the same name, then it would sort by this second. Okay, we'll get past this. This one's going to be number 1 in the row, and also it's going to have a name right here, which is WTW admin home, which is representation of what the name is. And then finally, it's going to run this function. And we should be able to rebuild that line that easy. We'll have to tell it what to do, but let's get past that. Okay. And that should take care of that line. And now we need this line, which we have the name already in place. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Okay, so just adding in the different pieces here. Okay, so we have admin home, and then we have this code, which is going to tell it what to run here. And we will put that here. And the other part is we're going to make that number 2 so it shows up underneath the other one, and it's going to be WalkTheWeb underscore updates. Then this part, it's still going to be underneath the dashboard. And here it's going to be updates. Okay, so what I'm going to show you first is that what it's going to give us is not what we want. But notice we have admin home and updates, like they're already expanded. It's already next. It also has an icon, which is the default because we didn't give it one. And that's kind of what it's trying to do. So what we need to do is, first of all, in our code, we need to check and see. We're going to start with a variable out here outside of the loop. And we're going to call this one Z. Z menu equals blank, and here we're going to have it put the piece on the page, and then we're going to say Z menu equals at the let's see, we're going to say Z menu. Oh, I have a Z menu. Whoops, can't do that. Menu. Let's see, menu copy. No, menu temp. I'll call it temp menu because it's not being used anywhere else. And what this is going to do is it's going to determine which menu item it is and if it's being in that same area or not. And so we can tell it to do certain things. So it'll be if menu does not equal temp menu. It should be temp menu does not equal menu. Then do this. Else, we're going to do something else. Okay. Okay, we need to determine if we're creating the area or not. So when it is that, it's going to create this new section right here. And what it's going to do is the very first time, okay, we got two pieces here. We're going to build a div around the next menu options that we're putting in, which are the submenu items. So what I need to do is every time it creates one, it needs to create the beginning of the menu div that is going to be for the sub items. So I'm going to put this here, and basically this is going to be the new line if there's sub menu items. Prep for sub menu items. Okay, we're going to do that. And there's going to be some logic that I'm going to have to pull out of other things because I'm already telling it to open up an area, and it's, well, actually, if we name them different, then it wouldn't matter, and I'll be able to do it anyway. So, okay, so what we're going to create here is the starting tag of the div, and it's going to be like this right here. So what we want to do is we want to force this part not to be shown right when it opens. Trust me, I wrote those out for a reason instead of putting them in the class. When display equals none isn't in the class and you tell it to check the style, it doesn't see the style there. So the only way to determine the first character set is to set the physical style. Now, do I need visibility equals hidden? Probably not, because the only one I'm actually checking is the display none, because that's consistent. It either is being displayed or it's none. So it kind of cleans that part up. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is creating an automatic menu. By the way, starting next week, I will be doing Discord, so you guys can catch me there. Also, at the same time while I'm doing it, so I'll do that next week. I'm just getting through the weekend right now, working on some cool menu stuff. But then, of course, you'll be able to converse with me, and it'll be a two-way conversation. You know it, Eva. Yeah, you got me there. Just getting used to everything and putting things in place, trying to keep my thoughts clear, and I figure I have enough voices in my head without adding one more. No, just kidding. But no, we're good. We're good. Just getting my groundwork on getting this stuff going. And so what I'm doing is I'm dynamically creating all this menu items down here. I'm moving it into a dynamic process so that I can create the menu on the fly. The reason is, once I can create it on the fly, when somebody writes a plugin that works with this code, they can add a menu item and it'll be incorporated into the menu. But until I do this step, there's no way to actually get your code into the menu. So this part will actually help us get the piece into the menu and create what we need to do. So I'm going to take a copy of this line here, and right now we're working on the submenu item to be able to add it to what we're already doing. A couple pieces. First of all, I'm not going to worry about that part of it. The only part I really want to make sure is display equals none, because that's the part we test for. And then also this WTW menu section div, we're going to look for that in our style sheet, find in files. We're going to move it, call it something else, because that's not the best name for it where we want to have it. So we're going to take this menu section div here, and I'm going to, well, that's not much to it. It's basically a little bit of transparency on the background, and it's a div. Okay, so admin class, and we will call this, I'll put it here, but then we're going to change it to admin menu div. And let's see if that name's taken. If it is, we'll have to double check, see what's actually running. Okay, so that makes sense for us, admin menu div. This is what we're setting, so it's basically hidden, no display, and that's what we want it to be. And we're going to use that right there. And then what we're going to do is the name of this ID is going to be, it should be the name of the parent with the div name added onto it to append it to it. So let me square this away. we got a couple little things here to check, but we're gonna, I'm just thinking ahead, sorry. Keeping my groundwork going where I want. This name actually should be a derivative of this name is what I would want it to be. So even though I'm checking temp menu, I need to know what that menu item was, or what we called that temp ID. So we're going to automatically give it, whenever we set this, we're going to say the Z temp ID. Oops, should have copied it while I was there. The Z temp ID equals this ID. Now the reason for doing that is because now I can say right here for this name, what I want to call it is that we're going to leave the word div there, and I'm going to put don't go back 2 spaces. I'm going to put this Z temp ID right here. So now the div underneath the menu item that we're creating here will always have the word div after it, but it'll be the exact same name. So it just appends another word div after it. So kind of works for that. And okay, so what I'm doing is creating the menu items dynamically. We had this big long menu down here that did all this stuff. Part of getting ready to be able to have plugins of different people's work is to be able to allow them to add menu items. So that's what we're doing, cleaning it up. And then the other part is once we've done that, and now we've added submenu items, what we need to do is we actually need to clear the div tag. Now, the only time the div tag needs to not be here when this happens is if it was the very first time through the code, which we know if basically temp menu, we set that up at the top, we called it blank, so if it's not empty, then we're gonna need one more parenthesis on that. Okay, there we go. If it's not empty, then basically I'm going to append one more, close the div tag right here, which will get us through that whole piece over there. Okay, if you're just joining us, just to let you know, in about 10 seconds or less, I'm creating basically a WordPress type of thing for 3D games. So we can create plugins and do what we want with them. So, okay, working on the menu, and like I said, we'll be able to create plugins that are 3D gaming functionality and just drop it into our scenes and with our buildings and everything. Okay, so moving forward, what we have is, now that will close the div tag when it finds another main menu item, so that closes this. Now, if we run out of menu items, then what happens is when it finishes this cycle here, then what happens is we need to add one more closing div tag at the end. So notice how the very first div tag opens without doing anything. The last one never happens because there's no last record. So the last thing we do is add one more div tag to the end of it. And that's that would actually be only if the menu has a count. So let's put a little thing, because if it has a count, then it's cycled through. So if count of that is greater than 0, then we know we did something and we added at least one line of menu, and that's where we ended up. So we close the div tag, and now that should always end up with a proper format around it, which basically by refreshing the page, it's not that we should see something spectacular, but we're not going to see something broken, which is good. Okay, these buttons still are added here. They all still work. Notice dashboard. This is my hard-coded. This is my new menu. And in fact, what I'll do is, just so we can see a little break between the two, right here, we're going to add a few line breaks just so that it knows to do something, just so we have some type of gap in our code and we can see what we're rebuilding opposed to what we started with. And just to show that, admin, there it is. Okay, so that worked. we're rebuilding the menu from a dynamic point of view here. Now notice we don't have uploads or update. We don't have these two items showing up under here yet. So that's where we're at. And what I want to do is notice that means this item didn't change. Okay. And okay, so that item didn't change, and what I need to do now is I'll take these, and now we need to do this other functionality. To that, I want to caution this part. Okay, so if this is not equal to that, it does this, but notice that I allowed it to add an actual submenu item when it did that. So I don't want it to do the else statement. I'm gonna have to do an if statement and decide what condition I need for this. On every line we're gonna tell it to do one unless this second part is blank. So for the submenu items, we'll just say if the submenu here, if this item not empty and is set, then we're going to tell it to add our second menu item, which is our little submenu item. So for our submenu items now, go back to this page. If we'll look, what we did was we created a div right here, and that's the div and closing tag, which we already took care of. So now we're looking at just one of these lines right here. They're pretty straightforward, so we can just copy paste that here. Got a couple things to clean up on it, and we're going to and we close the tag there. Okay, so the first thing is the JavaScript. If there's a JavaScript function, notice how we did that up here. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same line of code that it already processed. So basically, the onClick will be doing the same thing as the onClick up here. And we knock that out. The next piece is the name of the item is going to be the title of the item, because we basically passed the title in this row. So if they did two things on the same line, it's going to be the same name twice, but that's kind of what they intended if that's what they did. Otherwise, they can leave it blank, tell it what to do on the top item, and then they can build the menu underneath it. So either way, it's going to work for building the title. So we put that there. There is no alt tag or title tag because we didn't put in, add a image to it, so we're good on that. And the last part is this particular thing is going to be whatever ID they put on this line, which is not the same as the div tag we just created. Okay, so the last piece is this menu item here. We're going to go look for this real quick. And we're going to take this, find where it's at, get a copy of it, and move it over to our other menu, because we're going to our other CSS sheet, and it's going to cover this was going to be called admin submenu. We'll keep it real simple. Admin submenu. And then we'll double check, make sure that's not in use. Finding files. Okay, nope, that's the only place we have it. That's the name. We've given it that. Okay, we're going to call it that right there. And now we should have something for our submenus. But what we didn't do was add any type of code that goes from one menu and actually open up this menu that we've randomly called by an ID. So what we're going to do is, okay, we're going to take this here. We're we're going to write a little code that tells it to open this piece based on, actually, did I type the right? Yes, the temp ID is that ID, so it is the same item. We could have called it either way. Just to keep it simple, we'll say, look, ZID with the div and ZID blank. We're working with our own IDs. So if I come in here, we've added their JS function, and then I can tell it to run one of my own at the end of that. And that's actually exactly what I'm going to do. And for that, we're going to put it in the admin menu. I'm just going to drop it down at the bottom right now. Later on, I'm going to be sorting through these menus and kind of putting them in any, the order of, like, if it's a menu related thing or if it's a, well, I'll take care of that. Okay, so this particular one is admin menu sub open sub menu. That is what we'll call it, and it'll be the ID, ZID. Okay, and actually we can be really admin, let's just call it admin open submenu. We'll keep it as short as we can without going too crazy. Okay, so here, all we need this one to do is take the ID. If dget, which is my document.get element by ID, if that ZID and plus div is not equal null, then basically we're going to be toggling it based on this particular item. So we're going to check to see if that thing is null. If it's not null, then if this dot style, and this is why we display, that's why we hard-coded the display in there, is equal to none, and this is going to create our toggle because we're going to have an else on there too. And okay, it's going to we're going to say this name right here, and we have a function that says WalkTheWeb dot show, and then we have one that's called hide. So that should bounce it back and forth between the two, and all we have to do is pass this and this particular item. Actually, we have Z, it's actually Z object, sorry, that's Z object, which means we need zObject.id. That will fix that. zObject.id. And we're adding the letters div to the end of it because notice that when we send this function in here and we call it, what we'll call is admin menu. And right here, we're going to add WalkTheWeb dot this. And we're going to put this, the word this there. Okay, so now by doing that, let's check it out. Open our menu, and we click our dashboard button, and notice it opened it. If we click it again, it closes it. Yay, admin home. We can still use the buttons within it, and when we close it, it closes that item. This one was doing the same thing, and it's because my dashboard item right now currently has a JavaScript that is telling it to open the other one. So let's check that. I want to make it completely independent of the other one. So this particular function is telling it to move basically this, which is that our same name? Let's see, if I do admin menu dashboard, we have admin dashboard. So we even changed the names. So technically this one here, find in files, I can go here, and this one's telling it to show it in a number of places. Toggle admin dashboard. That's exactly where we told it. And technically, we do not, I'm not going to delete it until I actually delete my menu, but I'm going to remark it out so that I know to delete it when I get to it. These other items where they're using them is open full page form. If you're doing the updates or if you're doing dashboard, it automatically opens those up. That's not a bad thing, but this one's going to get automated too, so I'm going to do some pieces in there to automate that when I do it. So I'm not going to delete that just yet, but I will know to. Okay, so what I do want to do, what I do want to make happen here for now until I do the cleanup on that is when I'm adding this page in here and I use this name and it's going to have the letters div after it, and I come over here, see I have these two items, I'm going to know that this item is that instead of the other name. So I kind of just want to make that consistent with it. Okay, so now what I'm moving with these two items, when I click on Open Updates or if I click on Open Dashboard, it's telling it to open up that top level div and make sure it's showing also. Because what I don't want is to click an item and it automatically closes. I will fix that little trick in there later on as I redo this function, which is going to happen right after I finish automating this whole process. So for now, this one, you know what, I'm going to take that one out. I don't need it. I already know I'm not going to need it there. Open full page form, it's going to open the dashboard and it's going to do what it needs to. This put me right at the function right here. This is the open dashboard function, so, or open full page, I mean. Open full page or open dashboard? Open full page form, yeah, open full page form. So it is putting me in the same place and it's repeating these exact things if you click on dashboard or updates. So redundant, I won't need that at that time. I will take care of that and fix it. But okay, so the other piece is there's it's going to be opening a empty div tag if nothing's there, which is fine. It won't show anything underneath its tag. So if it's an item that doesn't have anything underneath it, like our next item, notice right now this one doesn't have anything underneath it. It didn't do anything in the menu. So it doesn't matter that I've created a div tag that's empty and it's opening and closing it. So I don't have to worry about checking for child items underneath that div tag or anything like that. We don't have to do any more complicated logic in place there. Okay, so admin menu, going down the list. We've accounted for submenu items this way, so now just to do it, we will add under our toggle media, we'll add two more items underneath that. I'm going to rename that. I don't want to call it toggle. I want to call it admin menu or admin. Yeah, let's see, admin media. That'll be the admin menu media. Oh, it's actually called like the button name B. Okay, let me see. Where am I all using this? If it's used outside of this page, okay, I'm doing something here. Admin editor, JavaScript. What am I doing with it here? Select file form. Okay. That one has a very particular purpose. I will come to the bottom of that later on, but right now I am not going to rename that button. Okay, and the two items that I have underneath the media library are, we have media library and, no we don't. Okay, media library is a standalone button. I'm sorry, didn't mean to do that. So media library stands alone. The next one is going to be this buildings tab, and this one has admin menu buildings div. So the next parts are going to be underneath that. Do I use this piece? I think I just used it for a menu call. Okay. I'm telling it to click that menu for you and open it in two different places. Let's see, where am I doing that? Oh, that's if you click, okay, I know what it is now. This and this, these have to do with, I was assigning hotkeys before and I was actually using escape codes. So if you click on a certain key, then basically it would automatically open that menu item. That part I'm going to rewrite the way I do it, because as you can see in this little section, there's a lot of different things it can do and how and whatever, and I need to code that in a way that's a lot more friendly than that. So I will get to that part as we go here. Okay, so take this here. And okay, so I'm less worried about how I named that menu item, because both of those are shortcut keys. So that basically doesn't mean much for what I'm doing right now, because I'm getting rid of the shortcuts, and I'll be adding those back in later on as we do things. Okay, so that means I can rename this item. Was that what it was here too? Sorry, I got distracted. No, that was select file form. Oh, that. Let's go down a rabbit hole. I need to see what this one does. I believe, since bToggle media is only be used in one place, and when I do this particular thing, the object is, okay, it's, yeah, that's doing a little bit of logic with it. Is it only doing one spot? Yes, it is. Okay, so basically that is selecting from a drop-down. It's checking a box or not if I'm showing the hidden images based on what it's been clicked. Wait a minute. If object ID, and the only thing I'm sending through is the object there. So if the object equals show hidden images div, which this particular case it's not, that would not be needed here. Show hidden images is this box. It's not this one. So this doesn't matter what I send in here. I can send null and it won't do anything anyway. Or I can change the name here. It won't matter one bit. Okay, just wanted to track that little piece of information down. Okay, we're going to change the name. I like consistency, and to me that was like a big blurring thing that says, this doesn't look good, fix it. Okay, so admin media, we're going to see if that name's taken. Find in files here. Admin media, it's the only place it's being used, which is good. So now if I go back to that toggle media, find in files, go back to here, come here, and drop this line item into there. The other part is, or I can even send a null. I could send a null. That would be even better, because I'm not trying to do anything with it based on that. So select file format, send null, and that means I can fix this once and for all, and we don't have to have the name floating around when there is no real logic of why we gave it. I mean, there's no reason for it to pass anything in there. In fact, I can do nothing, and then when it goes into the process here, okay, when it goes into here, if object equals, if j equals, actually, we don't even need to worry about that here. Let's do it here. If object is not equal undefined, then we're checking to see if it's even exists. We could go one step farther. If well, actually we could check if it's undefined or null, but well, it's fine. If it's defined, then it means it exists. Then we should get an ID from it. We should be good to go. Okay, so that gets us through that little piece there, and I've eliminated needing it in this other place. This particular one here, what am I looking at here? Oh, this one on change, that one also has nothing to do with the checkbox, so that is a different name. So we can pass in this place. We can take that out now also. And so we won't have that there. And the only thing we have is a show hidden images, and it's being brought here, which is part of the that checkbox in that select image page, and then which is part of page data, full page load. Let's see what this one, or is that the same line? Page data, full page load. Am I looking at the same one? Yes, same line number. Okay, we're good to go. Okay, full round trip on that little piece of work. Okay, so back to our admin menu. We're good to go. This one doesn't have any significance because of that name. So we've fixed it here, and now we're going to go with this one. And I know I already checked this, but basically these two items, when I'm telling it to click the item, they're both the menu from there, which means there's no significance to me changing this name. And buildings, copy, find in files, and we now have admin buildings there. And where did I do this? Div help, that's in a help page, unrelated. Those are actually going to be fine because it's in a separate iframes page. They're not actually going to be used the same way or the same thing. They're self-contained in this page, so it's not like it's going to be anything related to this. So we should be good on that. I'm not going to worry about that. This is all self-contained. It's helping me find certain lines and bring your focus to a certain line. If I need to, I'll change that later to be help in the word or something. Okay, so admin buildings, and then what I'm going to do is let's delete those two. Let's get this. Okay, so we're going to add a couple line items underneath this, and the building line items, admin building, are these items right here. I'm not going to worry about the help tab at this moment. I'll be doing those a different way, so we'll play around with that in a different way. The first line item is we have this name, and that's going to be, the name of it is, you know what, let's do one at a time because I know this is going to be more the submenu type item. Okay, I know I keep jumping down to here. It's this row. Don't worry about the class. All we need is select 3D building, which is going to go into there and make that whole thing necessary to fix. Okay, select 3D building, and it's part of this. I'm going to fix these as we go. Okay, so I know there's easier ways to do this. I'm trying to share one function that basically shows where all the things go from admin. It's going to be kind of hit or miss as we use that, so I'm not sure. Well, I guess it's still a good way to do it. But for here, we're going to call this, we don't even need all that. We're just going to say select 3D building. This is going to sort through a bunch of this stuff as we do it, so I'm going to go ahead and fix them as we go, which is going to break the other ones as we go. So just so you know, that's what it's going to do. We have select 3D building, and that's going to be, it's going to use this function right here. And notice I'm right now I'm being careful to make sure that I get the ending. I'm getting the ending semicolon at the end of our function. I can check and see if they added one in the code and make sure that there is one, because we put a function after that on the other items, on the main menu items. So I'll double check and make sure that they closed it with a semicolon or something if we're going to add our own function afterwards. So we'll figure out how to do that. We'll test a couple things with that later on. Right now, that doesn't need to be there, but what we do need is, this is going to be menu item 0, and it's going to need a name here. And why? Let's see. Okay, I just emptied that. That's the icon. So this one here is going to be WalkTheWeb select building. And that's kind of our slug. If you're familiar with WordPress terminology, that's kind of our slug. That's what we're using for it. So our menu slug is going to be the WalkTheWeb admin buildings, and then it's select building slug, and there's our menu item. And then what I'm going to do is this. You know, as we're building the new menu, I could actually be crushing the old menu items out so that the page gets smaller and we can show progress as we add new menu items in that work. So that would be probably a good thing. That way we can eliminate ones, clean them up, and actually replace it with this automatic menu as we go. This particular place, this is the function that it runs. Now, like I said before, we just changed the name that's going in here. And so when we change this name, it's right here. Okay. And this particular one needs to replace all of this here. So now all we're looking for is the word select 3D building. And then it's going to run this function. We'll get friendlier with those names later on. I've got a different way of doing that too. That'll be part of our cleanup, but we're working our way through it. Okay, so select 3D building. We've changed that, which means that this function right here is no longer going to work. Did I use this name? Yes, I used that name up here. So we now still have that name. We've preserved it, but we're going to drop off that menu item there. The other thing I'm going to do is we've already done toggle dashboard. We've done the 2 menu items underneath it, and open full page form. So we're good with that. We've done all those processes for the menu updates and we've tested them. So I'm going to remove those from here. Well, you know what? My own case, what I need to do is to remove them out of here. I need to make sure that the IDs are not in use from anywhere else. So to get rid of things like, well, like this, dashboard badge, that's something that I didn't put in here. So I need to copy this div right here, copy that. Okay, I can do this still, but that one's going to take a little trick to clean that up. I don't want to delete that just yet because of that very reason, because we have the dashboard we have that one changing on this item also, update badge. So let me, you know what, I'm going to come back to these, and the way I'm going to do that to make it move down my page as I go is I'm going to move to the bottom of, this is just the admin menu right to here, and then we're out of the section. Okay, I'm going to put them on the bottom of the admin menu just so that I know I'm not ready to delete them yet, because I don't want to get off on another tangent while I'm trying to fix one piece of code. These will need to, I need to handle that dashboard badge. When there's an update, it pops up a little dashboard badge on there. I'm going to make sure I still do that functionality on the end result. So no problem. We'll do some kind of badge automation into that so people can tell it to add a badge or not. Well, actually, that's JavaScript. They can do it anyway. But we'll make sure ours didn't break. Okay, so now the next piece is this toggle media. Find in files, find all, and that's the last line that uses it. So we no longer need that in here. And we already have the media library covered with the image. We have the text. The next one, toggle buildings. This one has it in 2 different places, but we already determined that's being used by this function. We know that we don't need that here anymore. We're not going to do that code that way. We'll rewrite that as we go. We'll add in some functionality for that later on. I'm going to make it where you can assign your own keys for your own things if you want to customize it. So eventually that'll get to the face of everything. But for now, we're going to skip that piece in this mix. Okay, so that building, we have it doing the buildings, but I don't want to remove that until we get rid of these items underneath here. So let's continue through that section since that's the section we're on. Okay, let me get a refresher here. And there's two things that buttons do. The first one is the dashboard can open up full buttons over here. Oh, that's funny. See, the first time I clicked it, it did not open. Now it's in the reverse object. Okay, so something... Okay, let me make sure that's working right. Clear the screen. Admin. The second I click this, it should have opened. It didn't, which means it did not detect that it is empty. Let's go fix that real quick. And admin dashboard, let's see, this one here. Find files, And when I click this, I'm running my own little function, remember. Okay, wait, it's right. I'm basically running this function. And when I click it, the first thing is it should look for the item and see if it's not null. So let's check a couple things. We're going to spit them out into the column just so we can see. We're in this menu. Then we're going to say not null, which means we have an object. And then we're going to see if that item, okay, let's see, the last thing we're going to check is if it's shows it or not. I'm going to also check what this item is. So this will be telling it to show, and we're going to find out what that ID is with the div. Why not? Let's see if it gave us what we expected, and then let's see when it does the else. This should hide it. So let's find out what's going on with this function on the first try, because it obviously works on the second try. Go here, click dashboard, and it's not null, and it automatically hides it, which means display equals none. It wasn't none. So style display on this div tag is not none to begin with. So let's refresh the page. And let's take a peek. If I come in here, whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that yet. Let's go in here. I need that showing. Let's look at our code right here, and that's going to show us our dashboard. And notice here, admin dashboard style display none. So we do have that being set right there. Is the name correct? Admin dashboard div, admin dashboard, and style none. Okay, so by default it is set display none. So why is it when we come over here and click it, it didn't find display equals none? What did I do wrong? Admin dashboard div with an underscore, hide admin dashboard div. And if I do it more than once, it works. That should have found it. Well, there's another way to do this, and that is to say if it's not none and reverse our logic. The whole reason would be if it doesn't know what it is to begin with, then it basically wasn't none. And then we can also, because we did that, the other part is we don't have to tell it style display none here, because we're going to just say no matter what it is, we're assuming we're going to set it to none. And no, that doesn't work, because then we're going to get it showing the very first time. Well, if it's not set, then the none comes through from the class. I know I don't like doing it that way, because we do have hidden from the class, and if some browser interprets that different, that's going to give us a different thing with it. Oh, I know what to do. Let's see what... Let's leave that blank. It's going to pull it through the class, and then we're going to... Let me check what this is giving us on the very first time, because I have a feeling that it's going to say undefined. If it says undefined, we'll check for that on the first time through. We're going to be looking for... We're not reversing the logic. We're going to... I have a reason... No, we can reverse the logic. Logic's fine on that. If it's not equal none... No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry going back and forth. I feel like I'm tap dancing right now in front of you. But this is just part of getting this straight. If I do the logic this way, then usually that works for me, so I don't know why it didn't work this time, but I have a feeling that it's going to come up undefined the first time, so let's find out if that's the case, because we can control that and we can tell it what to do if it is undefined. So if it's hidden dashboard, notice it showed it that time. It's block, not null. Oh, wait a minute. Display equals block. It's because if it equals none. Okay, so display is block by default, which the class is showing. Okay, but we hid it when we wanted to show it, so we can't do it that way. If it's not none, then man, sorry, I'm acting like I've never done this before. Time out. Rethink this. I just keep switching the same thing back and forth and showing you again. That's not going to fix the problem. Sorry about that. Okay, if display equals none, why would display equal showing? Because the class gets applied after it loads. And let me see what happens when I keep that part on there, which should say style display is none. Right now we should get what I think we should get. It should be none. Well, helps if I... Okay, so dashboard first time through, and it did work. So dashboard not null, it's telling me that it's blocked by default, but then it hid it after the fact. I don't know why the style didn't read. Usually the style, usually by putting the style there, the style reads and it goes ahead and does it. Is this admin menu div in our style sheet? Did we get that wrong? Admin menu div, that would explain a lot. No, see, even in the admin menu div, display is none. Some things just aren't playing nice. Something else is interfering with it. That's a possibility. When I click on the menu item, this particular menu item was, that's what I'm doing. Admin menu dashboard, copy file, find in files, find all. I have a real suspicion that this particular thing is telling it to hide or show the menu item. Yep, let's see. No. Toggle, no, that's what I'm clicking is toggle menu board. Full page form. I know I'm passing one menu item to another menu item or to another script. This is where it gets a little tricky. This one's does a lot of stuff. So hide full pages is a way that it hides all the divs of the page names that I currently have. Notice I'm telling it to hide media page, media downloads. That has nothing to do with the pieces that I'm working with. That's those are not the ones I'm working with. There's a lot of show and hide stuff going on in here, and that's the stuff that I'm eliminating a number of them by doing this new menu system also. This page has to be re-looked at after the fact. So in lieu of this thing, let me see here, because I don't have that item being used anywhere else. Wow! Did you ever have one of those days? And it's not supposed to happen on a Saturday. This should be a good day. This should be a fun day. This should be everything's relaxed. Everything's going great. Gonna pour myself a glass of Kool-Aid. No. Just some days things don't want to work right for you. I want to know. Okay, so because I'm putting this ID in here, and because the ID is this, which I just created and said it's not being used anywhere else. The div is being shown in two places. Wait a minute. Dashboard div is shown for the updates, and the dashboard div is shown right there. We're going to currently mark those out. I just want to make sure I'm not telling it to do something before I tell it to do that stage. I don't think it's doing anything from there. But notice that would be the name of the dashboard div. That is what we're talking about for this dashboard div. So let's make sure. I bet that's what it was. It was telling it to show. Then because that other line was telling it to show, I couldn't tell it to show when I clicked the button. Okay, I think I just solved the problem. Took me a minute. See, now it shows it here, comes up, and it was none like I expected, and it works. Okay. Jeez. Beat myself up here. Okay, so now the trick is when I click on one of these buttons, if it's not shown already, which okay, it's got to be shown, because if I click on this button, it wouldn't need to close. So my trick is where it calls this object to close those. For example, if I click admin home, it should stay open. If I click updates, it should stay open. Okay, I'm good. There was a reverse logic going on in that section a little while ago, and what it was doing was it would automatically close these when you click on one of the items underneath it. So I wanted to automatically open the item and make sure that it was showing. So no problem, can work with that. I'm good to go. That item is now showing, and it's doing what it's supposed to. I'll take it. Okay, so let's go to okay, so now that that works, I can move on from there. I'm going to leave some spaces in between these just now, just so that I can tell that's dashboard and the sub items, building menu, and the next items. Oh, wait, before I move on, let's take our extra code out of this new script here. We don't need to kick all these markers out here. We know it's working now, so okay, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way. No. Okay, so going through this stuff. Okay, we should have a building select menu. Let's see how that works. Let me just give it a refresh just to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to. Admin and dashboard. Okay, so now I'm going to click dashboard just so it opens something else. When I click buildings, notice it opened that. We're going to fix that part in a minute. But when you do that, it now goes to that item and it works. If I click back, we're back to the main menu, and technically that part's still going to be open because we didn't close it. Okay, so the next piece is when you click on one of these items, I need to make it close the subsections in between them. And that's actually not that difficult. And the reason I say that is because when you click on one of these menu items and it's going to do this new function that we created to open submenu item or to close the submenu item, when you open that, what I need to do is right here, I'm going to do something that tells it to search through, find anything with a particular class, and close them before, well, with the exception of the one that's named what I'm currently checking, so that basically it will close everything else and only the one that you've clicked on will open. If that one's already open, then you can toggle it back closed. That's the logic that I want to do, and so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so for that, okay, first thing we want to do is I'm going to basically, I've already done this function. I know I have, so I'm going to look for it instead of writing it from scratch again. And I even know that I wrote it for the admin menu, and I did it for anything with this name right here. So copy file, we're going to just do a quick search for that. That's why I renamed that anyway. Right here, I wrote this thing, menu subdivs, and that's where it happens. Now, hide full pages is going to collapse that too. Yes, no. Do I want it to do that or not? I'm going to not do that there, because this has to do with when this menu's showing anyway, and I don't want that to interfere with the piece that I'm doing right now. So we are going to come down here, take that, put it here, and now what we need to do first of all is we're going to get the correct new class name, and correct class name is going to be right. Oh, actually, it's going to be the menu divs, which are these right here. And so the correct class name is this. Which means also when somebody adds a menu item and they add a class, this will hide the divs that they add in and everything else. So yeah, we're good to go. It'll be all by the class name. Everything's steady. That's all written by us. This gets the submenu divs, and now the one thing we need to do is make sure that this ID right here, you know what, we're going to say z object ID equals this. We're going to just simplify this just a touch. I'll just do it that way, and now all we have to do is this name instead of this each time. Since we're appending it and adding it together, it's just easier to do it this way. And we can do it that, and that. And now the other part is, if this is not undefined, then the last thing, before I hide it, I want to see if this ID that they have is not equal to the ID that we're currently trying to use. Because I don't want to change the circumstance, the condition of the one we're using, because we're able to toggle it back and forth. So now with that, what'll happen is, notice both of those stayed open before. Now we've got it where you open one, it does this, you open the other, it collapses that and opens this one at the same time. I can also close just that one, so I can open one and close it, or I can open and I can switch to another one and it'll open that div of whichever one that I actually selected. So now we're basically toggling back and forth between what you told it to do, and we can go to any one of these screens in the menu item, and we can also, boom, now we're here. Okay, so that's how we automate the menu from start to finish. That's the process we're going to do to put every one of these menu items in this array of menu items, which we're basically building the array based on what we use in this function, add menu item. So each one of these, all I have to do is add menu item, take apart these pieces down here so that when I tell it to do a certain thing, for example, this next line right here, we're going to be doing add new 3D building. and I'm going to put that into this format underneath this one right here. And I'm going to keep on building the buildings where I have the main menu items here, and then I have the sub-menu items underneath them. And I'm going to continue on to do the same exact format till the whole menu is in this format. Now the cool part is, because I'm moving it to an array and I've exposed a function, is when you build a plugin, all you have to do is the same thing I did right here. You'll be able to do this exact same code, saying admin menu, add menu item, type in what it is. You can do sub-menu items also, and boom, you'll have it. You'll be in that order in that way. So very easy to work with, no problem. You'll be able to just add menu items, and here they show up in the menu item, and you also have your JavaScript of what they're supposed to do when you click it. Gave you as much control as I can, and like I said, I'll be going through the rest of these, and there's no reason for me to stay online for just repetition of the same exact pieces. So I just want to say thank you for joining me on this Saturday afternoon, and we'll be back. I'll see you again soon, and make sure you follow me so you know when I'm online, and we'll basically continue forward. We got 9 days left till we release the software, so 9 days to go. Countdown. Have a great day.